All right, so here it is. um, Muscle and Fitness of the 1982 Mr. Olympia. For this, we are looking at Muscle and Fitness of April 1983. It takes them that long back then to actually have the magazine have the coverage and article and pictures. So here's the lineup at the Mr. Olympia. Mohammed Makawi, we've got Bertil Fox, Frank Zane, Joseph Vilkosh, Samir Banu, Chris Dickerson, Albert Beckles, and there's Tom Platz. So that was the top lineup. And this Mr. Olympia took place in London that year. And of course, there were some home favorites. Here is Frank Zane, Jessup Vilkosh, and Chris Dickerson doing a front double biceps in the comparison round. Here is Albert Beckles and Bertil Fox. Bertil was probably at about 230 pounds, probably the most massive guy in the lineup. Here is Bertil being compared with Makawi and Beckles. Here's some back, getting ready to do the back. Beckles and Samir Banu in the middle. Casey Viator is there. We have another in the relaxed round with Tom Platz in the middle, Casey Viator to his left, and Joseph Vilkosh to his right. So there's a comparison for that round. Whoops, sorry about that. Then we go to the next page. We have a front double biceps comparison with Tom Platz in the middle, Frank Zane, and Casey Viator. Here we have relaxed with Frank Zane and Chris Dickerson. Here's another relaxed shot with Mohammed Makawi to the left. In the middle is Jacques Neuville, and then on the other side is Danny Padilla. Danny was called the Giant Killer back then. He was a very short guy, but he had a really good structure, really good symmetry. It's just in 1982, at this particular show, he came in off of his usual form. I'm not sure what happened. Here's the relaxed with Bertil Fox and Chris Dickerson in the middle, and Albert Beckles on the right-hand side. Bear in mind that at the time, Albert Beckles would have been 52 years old. I think it's safe to say that he was probably the oldest competitor in the lineup. Here is back comparisons with Samir Banu and Chris Dickerson and Johnny Fuller. That reminds me. The favorites in London would have been Johnny Fuller. There they are. Albert Beckles in the middle, and Bertil Fox, because even though all of them are originally from the Caribbean, Beckles being from Barbados, they're now, of course, at this point, residents of England. And of course, they would have been hometown favorites. Here is a front double biceps comparison between Frank Zane and Samir Banu. And, it was a different standard back then for these guys to be in the top lineup, especially, considering most of them are under 200 pounds. Here is a comparison in the relaxed round with, this is a guy named Lance Dreyer, who won the American Championship, what would be the Mr. America back then. and then Jacques Neuville in the middle, and there is Dennis Tenorino, who would have been getting up there in age at the time. Look at the size of the arms on Dennis Tenorino. I don't remember what age he was, but he was probably getting up in his late 30s or early 40s by about then. And then we have a back rear double biceps with Samir Banu in the middle, and to the left, to the right, or his left, or his right, would have been, there's Chris Dickerson, and then on the other side is Casey Viator. Casey was one of the more muscular and strong bodybuilders in the day. He was known for really, really high intensity workouts, kind of along the lines of Dorian Yates and Mike Menser. He was the original student of the Nautilus, that whole group. And but of course, he did a lot of higher volume on his own. And then here's you can see Tom Platz with the torn bicep. This is the year he tore his bicep. So for him to even be on stage is a testament to what a champion he actually is. So then this is the first place award went to Chris Dickerson. And so here are some of the pictures of him. He had a little bit of bursitis in his elbow, that would be olecranon bursitis. Second place went to Frank Zane. And of course, he won in 77, 78, and 79. So he was trying to make it number 4, but it was not meant to be. And third place was, in fact, Casey Viator. According to the article, which was written by Rick Wayne, who wrote a lot of them back then, the thing that hurt Casey was that he just didn't have the posing and stage presence of somebody like Chris Dickerson. And even though Dickerson has been criticized to be one of the least impressive Mr. Olympias ever, I have seen him pose, and I saw him pose in 1981 in Boston, Massachusetts, at the Heinz Auditorium at a special event, and with the music and his stage presence and his absolute perfect posing, he was something to behold, even though he didn't have the mass or some of the things that are required in today's bodybuilding. Fourth place was, in fact, Samir Banu, who was really on here. He'd had trouble in previous contests with his conditioning, but his conditioning was definitely on for the 1982 Mr. Olympia for sure, and that back was pretty formidable. Fifth place was actually Albert Beckles at 52 years of age. Look at his back. His conditioning was always spot on, very tight. Look at the cuts in his pectoralis. I don't know, guys. To me, that's pretty impressive for 52 years of age. Tom Platz was sixth place, and he was not, probably because of the bicep injury, maybe able to train at maximum intensity. Of course, the legs are, the best in the business. And even that back, even though it gets, sort of dwarfed by the legs, that is a pretty darn impressive rear double biceps. I've seen that, in black and white at especially at the 81 Mr. Olympia. As far as I'm concerned, he probably should have taken the 81 Mr. Olympia, but what is. Next, we have in seventh place was Muhammad McAvoy, and he was known for incredible posing, incredible symmetry, head to toe. There aren't any weaknesses. He was not a massive guy. I think he was also probably only about 5'4". And then Bertil Fox, the most massive guy on the stage. And just take a gander at that side chest pose. If it had just been down to the side chest pose and none other, I think that probably Bertil would have dominated that year's Mr. Olympia, because that's almost a little bit up to what some of the guys, today kind of look like. And this was, again, 1982. And I'm not saying that, he could hold a candle to, say, Brendan Curry or, Ronnie Coleman, and the guys that are going to be in the 2019 Mr. Olympia. But for the time, that is one impressive side chest pose. I don't care who you are, that's pretty impressive. Here's his single arm bicep pose. And here are the rest of the competitors. Jacques Neville, and there's Lance Dreyer, Dennis Tenorino, Roger Walker from Australia. Here's some more photographs. There's Boyer Coe, Frank Zane, Johnny Fuller, Frank Zane again. Here's Muhammad Makawi. There's Casey Viator here, and then he's trying to get a little bit, artistic. There's Muhammad Makawi, Samir Banu right here, Jacques Neville in the middle, and there's Chris Dickerson during his free posing. There's Dennis Tenorino looking pretty tight, pretty massive. Joseph Wilkosh. Here's the back of Bertil Fox. I don't know, guys. That's pretty darn impressive, if you ask me. And then these are the body parts. Of course, there's no mistaking whose quadriceps those are. Tom Platz, for sure. Nobody could hold a candle when it came to leg development of Tom Platz. That is definitely Albert Beckel's biceps. And he didn't have the length of, say, Arnold, and certainly not of Sergio Oliva, but he had quite a peak, and he was always, like I said, the conditioning was always there. Here are the trophies. Ben Weider and Chris Dickerson. Here he is again with both the Weiders on both sides. Here's Frank getting his check and his trophy. Here they are shaking hands, and I see they're giving the third place trophy to Casey Viator. Here's Samir with his fourth place going, well, hey, of course, in 1983, he went on to win. There's Albert Beckles with his trophy. Again, guys, Albert Beckles, 52 years old. Here's Casey Viator with his trophy. He looks pretty happy. And then, of course, ever the sportsman, Tom Platz, getting his trophy, would have liked to have been able to win the thing. Of course, he's known to have said that he would win the Olympia or die trying, and it wasn't meant to be, but he has to be one of the most gracious and humble and respectful champions in the sport, probably ever to live, actually. So much respect for the man. Here is the actual judges' scorecard, so you can see the entire thing. I don't know if they still do this in the muscle magazines, but back then they did. And so you can see exactly, how the judges scored them, and of course who the judges were. So that's kind of interesting. And this is an old advertisement for World Gym with Franco, Joe Gold, Frank Zane, and of course Arnold hamming it up to the max. So that was it, 1982 Mr. Olympia. And hope you enjoyed the video, and enjoy this weekend, of course, those of you who are lucky enough to go to the Mr. Olympia 2019. Perhaps maybe I'll make it there next year.